السلام علیکم. آج ہم ریسرچ میتھڈ کا دوسرا لیکچر شروع کرتے ہیں. اس لیکچر میں ہمارا فوکس ہوگا آن سائنٹیفک میتھڈ آف ریسرچ. پچھلی دفعہ بات ہوئی کہ ہم نالج کریٹ کرتے ہیں، ٹاکنگ اباؤٹ دا ہیومن نالج. اب ہیومن نالج جو ہے سائنٹیفک ہو سکتا ہے، نان سائنٹیفک بھی ہو سکتا ہے. تو ظاہر ہے کہ ہم بات جو کرنا چاہتے ہیں وہ یہ کہ اب سائنٹیفک نالج ہم کسے کہیں گے، یا سائنٹیفک میتھڈ ہم کسے کہیں گے جس کو اپلائی کر کے جو نالج آئے گا تو ہم پھر اسے کہیں گے کہ بھئی یہ سائنٹیفک نالج ہے. یعنی وہ نالج جو سائنٹیفک طریقے کی وساطت سے حاصل کیا جائے گا ہم اسے کہیں گے کہ یہ سائنٹیفک نالج ہے. تو ظاہر ہے کہ اس سٹیٹمنٹ میں جو ایک امپورٹنٹ لفظ نظر آتا ہے وہ سائنٹیفک ہے یا سائنٹیفک میتھڈ کی بات کرتے ہیں. اس سے پہلے کہ ہم بات کریں کہ سائنٹیفک میتھڈ کیا ہے، سائنس کسے ہم کہتے ہیں. اب سائنس کا لفظ جب آئے گا تو آپ کے ذہن میں کیا آتا ہے کہ سائنس کیا مراد ہے؟ سائنس سے مراد کیا ہم وہ یہی لے رہے ہیں کہ جیسے لیبارٹریز کی بات ہم کر رہے ہیں کہ بھائی دا پیپل ورکنگ ود سم کائنڈ آف ایپریٹس، ٹیسٹ ٹیوبس ہیں، کوئی اور ایپریٹس ہے، خاص قسم کا ڈریس پہنا ہوا ہے. سو ہاؤ ڈو وی لک ایٹ دیٹ؟ یا لیبارٹری کے باہر جو لوگ کام کرتے ہیں فیلڈ میں جا کر، وہ بھی کیا اسی سائنس کے اپروچ میں یا فریم ورک میں آتے ہیں؟ تو سائنس کی اگر ایک بڑی براڈ سی ہم بات کریں تو میں اس کو ایسے ہی کہوں گا کہ سائنس از اے میتھڈ. میتھڈ مینس اے پروسیجر. سائنس از اے میتھڈ اور اے پروسیجر فار دی کلیکشن آف انفارمیشن. تو سائنس کے حوالے سے جو بات ہوئی اس سے میتھڈ، اس سے پروسیجر. تو اس پروسیجر کی جب ہم بات کرتے ہیں تو وہ پروسیجر ہم استعمال کر رہے ہیں فار دی ایکوزیشن آف نالج. تو اس نالج کے حوالے سے نالج میں ہم کرتے کیا ہیں؟ What do we want to do? Knowledge, we want to discover something which is perhaps applicable to most of the situations. So we are trying to discover, let's say, the something which is uniformly applicable. The uniformities کی بات ہم کر رہے ہیں، یونیورسلس کی بات کر رہے ہیں، لاز کی بات کر رہے ہیں، پرنسپلس کی بات کر رہے ہیں. سو سائنس از اے میتھڈ، وہ میتھڈ اور پروسیجر. واٹ فار؟ ٹو ڈسکور دی پرنسپلس، دا یونیفارمٹیز، دا لاز، دا تھیوریز which are applicable to different situations in this universe. تو سائنس کی جب بات کر رہے ہیں تو سائنس میں we are talking about a method, a procedure for the discovery of uniformities. Uniformity means something which is universally applicable. Now, laws کی جب بات کرتے ہیں تو may not be universally, but the effort is to come up with something which is uniformly applicable. To what extent it is, that's a different kind of story. کہ ہو سکتا ہے کہ نہیں ہو سکتا, but the effort is something which is universally true. I think this is one of the goals of science, that the ultimate goal is to reach the truth which might be applicable for all the times to come. This might be more applicable in the physical sciences, maybe less applicable for the social sciences, but the effort is to reach the truth. So we are looking at the uniformities of the principles. And then the other thing connected with that is that it is in this universe. We are talking about this universe, not about the, let's say, the world hereafter. This universe, because that is the place where you and I can go, collect the information, test the theories, develop the theories. A place where one person can go and the other person is not in a position to go. He will not be able to verify what you have found over there or I have found over there. Therefore, the idea is that we are looking at the uniformities or the principles which are applicable to the situations or the people of this particular universe. So, science, I repeat, science is a method of the discovery of uniformities in the universe, in this universe. But how do we do it? What is the process? The process is through observation. Now, what is observation? Now, observation, usually people might think it's simply looking through the naked eyes. Okay, that's one. But it is more than that. Now, observation से मुराद यहाँ पर है कि हम अपनी पांचों सेंसेस के साथ हम इसको एक्सेप्ट करते हैं या ऑब्जर्व करते हैं. पांचों सेंसेस को, जैसे कि आप 5 सेंसेस की बात करते हैं या हवा से खमसा की बात करते हैं, तो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट observation with the help of all the 5 senses. In other words, what I'm saying is we are looking at those experiences which we can have by using either of the senses or in combination of number of senses. इसको दूसरे लफ्ज़ों में ये कहूँगा कि we are talking about sensory experiences. Okay? So sensory experiences की हम बात कर रहे हैं. अब sensory experiences की बात कर रहे हैं तो इसमें से एक ख़ास किस्म की जो बात है वो फिर eliminate हो जाती है. यानी कि हम sensory experiences इसलिए कर रहे हैं कि every normal human being is expected to have these 5 senses. So जो कुदरती तौर पर हैंडीकैप होगा, I'm not talking about that, but we are talking about the normal persons. कि every normal human beings is expected to have these 5 senses, and we are looking for experiences through these very 5 senses. If I can experience something, maybe somebody else who wants to verify what I have experienced could also go through the same process and experience that too. If I am seeing something and I'm asking somebody else, okay, here is something which I observe, well, you can also observe that. So that is how I look at that. That science is a method or a procedure for the production of knowledge. Knowledge means the discovering of the information, discovery of the information, the laws, and then the uniformities in this universe. And how do we do it? Through the process of observation. That is the sensory experiences. But then I further repeat, observation and re-observation. Now, observation we do, but we don't जिसको कहते हैं ना, we don't depend on just one observation. Maybe repeat it. Why do we want to repeat? We want to repeat so that there is no error in it. We don't make any error, we don't make any mistake, we don't make any misjudgment. So we want to be sure that whatever we have observed is a correct observation, and maybe we observe it from different angles and then come up with some kind of conclusion. And once we have really observed and re-observed, then we could say something with confidence, hey, this is what has been observed, and then you could make it open to everybody and telling others, hey, this is my observation or this is my finding. So this is why I said it's an observation and re-observation. So science is a method where how through the process of observation and re-observation, because we want to have more confidence in our finding. We want to be true about whatever we are observing. That's the correct observation. And then once these observations have been made and some information has been collected, then we don't leave these informations or pieces of information or pieces of knowledge in a scattered kind of form. We don't leave them into bits and pieces. Now, bits and pieces information may have come. We would like to organize it. We would like to develop linkages with different information which we are collecting. We would like to systematize it. And remember that our effort is not an isolated kind of effort. We are part of the our specialization, our knowledge, our maybe whatever is our area of interest. And I would say that I'm not an alone person to working in this area. Maybe earlier, so many other people may have already worked and may have developed so many, let's say, parts of body of the knowledge. Means that the knowledge are adding to that existing body of knowledge. Same knowledge, and on the basis of that, we might be creating some more knowledge as well. So what am I saying is کہ جو ہم نے انفارمیشن اکٹھی کی, جو ہم نے نالج ہمارے ہاتھ میں آیا, اس نالج کو ہم اسکیٹرڈ بٹس اینڈ پیسز میں نہیں رہنے دیتے, بلکہ ہماری کوشش یہ ہوتی ہے کہ ہم اس کو آرگنائز کریں. رادر اٹس ڈیزائر دیٹ اٹ ہیز ٹو بی آرگنائزڈ, اٹ ہیز ٹو بی سسٹمٹائزڈ, اینڈ اٹ ہیز ٹو بی میڈ as part of the existing body of knowledge. Okay, so our knowledge has to be connected with the existing body of knowledge. بلکہ میں تو یہ کہوں گا کہ ہماری جو ایفرٹ ہوتی ہے, ہم جو ریسرچ کر رہے ہیں through the sensory experiences, اس کے پیچھے بھی ہمارا بہت سارا بیک گراؤنڈ نالج ہے, انفارمیشن ہے. بلکہ میں یہاں کہوں گا کہ ہمیں جب ہم کسی ٹاپک پہ ریسرچ کرنا شروع کرتے ہیں تو ہمارے لیے یہ ضروری ہے کہ ہم یہ دیکھیں کہ اس سے پہلے کچھ لوگوں نے کوئی کام کیا ہے, ہمارے ملک میں کیا ہے, کہیں اور کیا ہے. اور اب تو آپ کو پتہ ہے کہ یہ انٹرنیٹ کی سہولت اتنی ہو گئی ہے کہ یو جسٹ ہیو ٹو یوز دا ماؤس اینڈ یو کین گیٹ انفارمیشن آئی تھنک فرام آل اوور دا ورلڈ. تو اس بیسس پہ ہمیں پہلے تو یہ ہے کہ ہمیں یہ دیکھنا ہے کہ پہلے اس سے کیا ہوا ہے, اس کو ہم فاؤنڈیشن بناتے ہیں. وہ فاؤنڈیشن بنا کر پھر ہم آگے چلتے ہیں. وہ فاؤنڈیشن کی جب ہم بات کر رہے ہیں تو وہ ہمیں دوسرے لوگوں نے جو اس سے پہلے کام کیا ہے اس کام کے بیسس پہ ہم چل رہے ہیں, اور اس کام کو آگے چلائیں گے, اس کو بیک گراؤنڈ بنا کر, اس کو فاؤنڈیشن بنا کر, دین وی پروسیڈ. اور اس حوالے سے جب ہم پروسیڈ کرتے ہیں تو ہم نے اپنا نالج تو کریٹ کیا. اب ہم نے جو کریٹ کیا ہے اس کو ہم کہیں علیحدہ کوئی ایک آئسولیٹڈ چیز نہیں رکھنا چاہتے. اس کی جو کاریگری ہے, جو اس کی امپورٹنس ہے, وہ اور زیادہ ہوتی ہے when we try to make a linkage with the existing body of knowledge. اب اس میں یہ بھی ہو سکتا ہے کہ وہ ہم کسی پہلی تھیوری کو ہی دوبارہ ٹیسٹ کر رہے ہیں, اس تھیوری کو ایک نئی جگہ پہ ہم اپلائی کر کے ہم دیکھنا چاہتے ہیں. Therefore what I am saying is کہ جو ہم نالج کریٹ کر رہے ہیں وہ کوئی ایک آئسولیٹڈ چیز نہیں ہے, بلکہ ایک ایگزسٹنگ باڈی آف نالج کا حصہ ہے. اور اسی لیے میں آپ یہ کہہ رہا ہوں کہ اٹ ہیز ٹو بی سسٹمیٹائزڈ اینڈ میڈ پارٹ اینڈ پارسل آف دی باڈی آف نالج. اور اس کے ساتھ ہی میں یہاں ایک لفظ اور کہوں گا کہ اگر ہم اس نالج کا حصہ اس کو نہیں بنائیں گے تو وہ نالج گرو کیسے کرے گا؟ نالج گروتھ ہونے میں آئی تھنک ہم کا, آپ کا, سب کا رول ہے کہ وٹ ایور وی ڈو وی ٹرائی ٹو میک اے لنکیج ود دی ایگزسٹنگ باڈی آف نالج, اینڈ دیٹ از ہاؤ دا نالج grows. And this is how you and I are actually standing on a huge reservoir of knowledge جو ہماری ڈسپوزل پر ہے. اور اب تو جیسے میں نے پہلے کہا کہ کمپیوٹر کی وجہ سے اتنی فیسیلیٹیٹ ہو گیا ہے کہ آپ بڑے آرام سے اسکین کر سکتے ہیں ویری کوئکلی, کس قسم کا آپ کو نالج چاہیے آپ اس کو کر سکتے ہیں. تو کیا بات ہوئی؟ سائنس کسے کہا؟ سائنس از اے میتھڈ, اے پروسیجر ٹو پروڈیوس نالج. نالج something which is applicable to most of the situations, most of the times, something which is true. And that means that we are trying to develop principles, uniformities, laws. How do we do it? Through the process of observation and reobservation. I'm emphasizing on it, observation and reobservation. So we are talking about sensory experiences, something which you and I can experience with the help of our 5 senses. And since the normal human beings possess these senses, therefore if one person experiences something, one researcher experiences something, for purposes of verification, somebody else could also experience the same thing, the same time, or a different time, or different place. So through the process of observation and reobservation, jo results hain, the results are to be organized, systematized, and made part of the body of the knowledge. That is how the knowledge grows. I think this is a very simplistic definition of science, and probably we have to do all that. One reason could be that we want to be very, very definite. And because of being definiteness, ایک لفظ لوگ بولتے ہیں that we want to be sure, we want to be positive. And all those people who follow that kind of approach are usually considered to be as positivists. یہ positivism کی جو بات ہے, in fact this is more associated with the physical sciences, but I think that kind of approach is also followed by the behavioral sciences or the subjects which are as part of the social sciences. Although they want to be definite, But because of the nature of the phenomenon which they have to cover, like the human behavior, the things may not be as rosy as we find in the physical sciences. Some of the things, some of the experiments which are easier to do or conduct on the subject matter which are covered by the people in the natural sciences, I think we in the social sciences or the behavioral sciences are handicapped because of that. But certainly effort is being made, and also I would say that there is a lot of criticism of the positivistic approach being followed in the social sciences. So maybe people are talking about the subjective kind of feelings of the individuals. Maybe the researchers develop some objective criteria for measuring something, and we might measure that on the basis of that very criteria, and the other party might think, hey, whatever your finding is, that's not applicable to me. I'm just thinking of something like, let's look at the measurement of the social class. People are usually divided into different social classes. Some are considered as, okay, lower class or poor class or middle class, and maybe upper class as well. One objective way of measuring the social class could be people look into the income of a person, the education of a person, the occupation of a person, the material possessions they have, the wealth of a person. So let's assume that these four criteria, four indicators people use, and on the basis of that, somebody says, develops some idea, okay, who falls in what class, and let's say some Mr. X के बारे में एक रिसर्चर आता है, वो कहता है कि भाई on the basis of the yardstick or measurement which I have made, you fall in such and such category. You fall, let's say, in the poor class. And the guy might respond and say, hey, I don't belong to poor class. Your criteria may be wrong. I don't belong. But that's a subjective kind of feeling. But objective criteria, which is more measurable, I think that's what positivist kind of people try to follow. The subjective might be more in the qualitative kind of area. That's the thinking of a person. The wealth, which is considered as one of the indicators, may not be that important to that particular person. So that is how people try to criticize the positivistic approach, where the researchers really develop some yardsticks for measuring a particular situation or a particular concept or a particular factor from an unbiased, objective kind of way, whereas the subjective approach might be different. And that is how there is some kind of criticism of each other, like the interactionist kind of approach and the positivistic kind of approach. We'll talk about these a little later. But then with that background, despite the fact that there's a lot of positivistic ways are part of it, maybe experimental designs are part of it, and probably all the quantitative methods are part of the positivistic kind of approach. The improvement is that this approach is being supplemented by or complemented by the qualitative approach as well, and more of a mixed kind of procedures for the study of the human behavior or things which are related with the human behavior. Now, with that definition of science or scientific method, then I just try to look into some of the important characteristics of scientific approach. Of those characteristics or features, I think the first important characteristic is that it has to be empirical. Empirical means something which is observable. Something which is observable parts of the human behavior which perhaps we can observe directly with the, let's say, as I said, with all the five senses. And there could be some parts of the human behavior which are part of it, we cannot deny, which may be observed indirectly. Look at the motivation of the people. That's a reality. We cannot deny it. There are people who are more motivated, there are people who are less motivated. People who are more satisfied, people who are less satisfied. Some people are more patriotic than others. Some people are more honest than others. Now these are the realities. Okay? I cannot observe them maybe directly, but there could be some indirect ways of observing these things. Look at love and affection. Can we measure that by developing some yardstick? Okay. Can we see it directly? Maybe some parts of it could be seen directly. Some parts maybe we may have to talk with the person, interview the person, ask some questions about the person. But this is something which is very much there. I would simply give an example. Look at a small child of, let's say, 4 years of age, and telling the mother, Mama, you love my brother more than you love me. Now, when that child says that to the mama, कि माँ, तू भाई को ज़्यादा प्यार करती है मुझसे, how did he say that? Did he measure that? How did he measure that? He must have seen that thing. He must have developed his own criteria for measuring the love and affection, and he is saying or complaining rather to the mother, telling her, hey, कि आप भाई से ज़्यादा प्यार करती हैं, मुझसे कम करती हैं. And this affection, love and affection, might be something which is qualitative. You cannot put it into, let's say, on a measuring rod, but people have developed some ways of looking at it. So we are looking at something which is empirical, something which is observable directly or indirectly. Something which is not observable directly or indirectly, that may not fall within the domain of scientific research or scientific method. Maybe we may not be able to apply the scientific method to that particular situation which is not observable. Then the second point is, whatever we find, that has to be verifiable. Verifiable means it could be confirmed by the same person, by the same researcher. Before he comes to some kind of final conclusion, he wants to be sure, he wants to be definite. Now that has to be by refuted, means verified. To what extent it is true or to what extent it is not true. So we use the senses for confirmation or for refutation of the observation. So somebody could challenge the observation of one researcher and might say, hey, your observation is not correct. Now he could verify it only if that is an observable phenomenon. And also you might see that phenomenon reappears. If it does not appear, how could he make an observation second time? And I think here I would try to say that because we are looking for verification, therefore that knowledge which is produced or which comes to us through revelations does not fall within the domain of scientific knowledge. I'm not saying that knowledge is not true. That knowledge might be more true than the scientific knowledge. That knowledge might be true for all the times to come. Okay. the knowledge which, let's say we get the knowledge through our holy books. The Muslims have the Holy Quran. Okay, Holy Quran is a book of knowledge. Maybe we could call it as organized book of knowledge, a systematized book of knowledge. We have all kinds of predictions about the future as well. But how did we get this knowledge? Did we get this knowledge through the process of observation and re-observation? No. This knowledge came to us through revelation. Revelation on a chosen person of God. And whatever the knowledge came to us, we, means the Muslims, believe that that is true knowledge. And that is equally applicable to the holy books of other religions as well. So that knowledge has come to the human beings through revelations. And people simply believe that it is true. They don't go for verifications. And perhaps in many situations it's not possible to verify. If in that knowledge there is a talk about, let's say, a Jannat and a Dozakh, so we believe that Jannat and Dozakh is there. We can't verify it. We can't go and come back. Well, the Holy Prophet had the privilege to go and see all those things, but that's his privilege. That's not on for an ordinary person where we talk about the scientific kind of approach. Well, people say that we will, according to the Holy Book, we talk about the swab, we talk about, let's say, maybe there are two farishtas and writing the good deeds and the bad deeds. Okay, we believe that these are there. I haven't seen them, maybe lots of people haven't seen. We just believe that there will be life hereafter. This is how we look at that. Therefore, what I'm trying to emphasize here is that we are talking about that knowledge which is produced with the help of sensory experiences. And that knowledge can be verified by other people who have similar sensory experiences. But the knowledge which comes to us through other sources like the revelations or the intuitions, that's not part of the scientific approach. I repeat once again, I'm not saying that that knowledge is not true. That knowledge is not scientific. That might be you give some other name to it, super science or whatever. But for scientific knowledge, we are looking for its replicability, its repeatability, its observation and re-observation by the same researcher, maybe at a different time, in a different situation, or by some other researchers at the same time or in different situations. I think this is very important for calling any subject as science, that the knowledge which is producing has to be verifiable. The findings which a person is coming up has to be verifiable. Thirdly, as I said earlier as part of the definition, that the knowledge which any researcher is producing, that's not an isolated bits and pieces. Those are not scattered bits and pieces. Those have to be organized. Those have to be made part of the body of knowledge. Therefore, an important characteristic of scientific knowledge or scientific method is that it has to be cumulative. Means it has to keep on adding. It has to keep on growing. And that is how people say that every new crop of babies does not start from the scratch. You as a researcher are not going to start from a scratch. If you are trying to handle a particular topic or a subject, obviously you have a very rich body of knowledge at your back from where you can benefit. That can help you in, let's say, finding out the kind of methodology you want to use. That can help you in defining the words, the concepts which you are using, that can help you in looking into some of the factors which might be producing all that. I think that is how I say that the people don't have to start from a scratch. So we make use of the existing body of knowledge, we create knowledge, we try to make our knowledge as part of the existing body of knowledge, and that is how I say that the knowledge grows, that is how it becomes bigger and bigger, and that is why we call it that scientific method helps in the knowledge which is being added, created, it becomes bigger and bigger, and it is cumulative. The fourth important characteristic of a scientific method is that it is deterministic. Deterministic means it explains why things happen. It tries to determine the causal kind of relationships it is possible. Explain means, tries to explain means it tries to give the reasons, tries to identify the factors which lead to that particular situations. Very, very strongly, if I could say that, it's trying to find out the cause and effect relationship. Not only it's trying to find the cause and effect relationship, maybe there are multiple causes of a particular thing. Of all those causes, I think the effort is made to identify the most important cause of that particular situation, or combination of, let's say, one or two or three factors which are producing that particular kind of situation. Look at the medical doctor, for example. A patient goes to the doctor. Now he is trying to determine the causes of that particular undesirable situation or the ill health of a person. So maybe he tries to look into the case history of a person and tries to find out, okay, what were the factors which the subject is telling, the patient is telling, and then the researcher, who is a medical professional over here, trying to come up with the real causes or perceived causes as by the person, and whether those are real or these are just the perception of the patient. So he is trying to determine the factors which could produce. One, just by asking the person, getting the history from that individual. Also, by examining the individuals who might be doing the physical examination of the person as well. And thirdly, in addition to the physical examination, he could also, if it is necessary, ask for laboratory tests of some of the samples taken from the body of an individual. And that is how that person is trying to determine the causes of that individual's ill health. And of all those causes, then he is trying to focus on some of the important factors. I gave the earlier I gave the example of, let's say, mass failure of the students from the BA BSc examination of, let's say, the Punjab University. I said that big proportion of the students, probably 60% or more than 60%, failed in the examination. Now, what could be the factors? That's an undesirable situation. What could be the factors? Is there something wrong with the students? Is there something wrong with some factors related with the students? Maybe their study habits or their interest or their participation or their time factor. Could be many things which relate to the students. Another factor could be something doing with the teachers' interest, teachers' motivation, teachers' handling of the situation. Another factor could be, is it the curriculum, the course outlines which have been prepared? Something wrong with those? Or is there anything with respect to the books which are being suggested, available to the student? Is that the reason? Or is there a reason, something doing with the media of instruction, the English medium, the Urdu medium, or something else? Or is it something doing with the examination system, the evaluation system? So look at a number of factors which might be contributing to this mass failure of students. Of all these factors, I think it's the researcher who is trying to determine the number of factors, then of all these, which one are the most important. And if we do that, we use the word parsimony, parsimonious way of finding out which are the most important determinants of a particular situation. That could be the ill health of a person, that could be the student's mass failure, that could be the suicide, that could be the crime, that could be the family discord, that could be the divorce rate, could be the marketing of a product, it could be anything. So one of the, I think, important characteristics of scientific method is that it is deterministic. It tries to explain why things happen. And when you say why, means it tries to find out the reasons, the factors, and technically we call them as variables, which contribute to that particular situation. And contribute means that explain that situation. So those may be called as causes of that particular happening, causes of that particular effect. So in addition to that, then another important characteristic of scientific method is that it has to be ethically and ideologically neutral. It has to be ethical and ideologically neutral. Neutral we need. Why? Because we are trying to overcome the individual biases of the researchers. Now, we are talking about the human beings. Human beings are the product of their environment. These human beings have the religion, they have their personal likings and dislikings, they have their, they belong to a certain race, they have their own culture, norms, patterns of behavior. These norms and patterns of behavior are part and parcel of their personality. And these factors could influence the research work of an individual. So what we are looking at is that the phenomenon should be studied in a dispassionate manner. Dispassionate means that the personal likings and dislikings should not influence the findings. Because if the personal likings and dislikings influence, then that influences the purity of the information. That creates biases. Biases means we try to give a certain twist to the situation, to the data, according to our likings and dislikings. And that's not on. And that is how we see in any cricket match we are looking for neutral umpires. Because we want to have justice, and justice implies that personal likings and dislikings should not be there. And this is how we look for in research as well. So we are looking for value-free kind of research where our values should not contaminate. You know, we are trying to reach the truth, and that's the ultimate goal of science. We are trying to reach the truth. Because why do we want to reach the truth? Because we want to make predictions. And predictions we want to make because we want to control the phenomenon around us. Therefore, I'm saying that one of the important, I think, characteristic of scientific method is that we, the researchers, have to be objective, should not bring in our personal ideological approaches when we are trying to collect the data or trying to interpret the data and trying to make generalizations. So objectivity has to be there. But then the question is it possible that we can be value free? We can be objective. Of course, we can understand it will contaminate the data. But can we be free? I think that's a very hard question to answer, particularly in the behavioral sciences, when we are, the researchers are the human beings, and when the subjects or the phenomenon which we are trying to study is also part and parcel of the human beings. I think that's a dilemma, but the effort has to be made that we should keep our personal likings and dislikings, our religious orientations, our ideologies, whether we support capitalism or communism or some other ism. Those should not contaminate the information which we are collecting or which we are finding. Difficulty is there, but the goal is that we have to be neutral. The next point is statistical generalization. Now, we try to use statistics as a helping hand for the interpretation of the data. We, I think in most of the cases, in the quantitative kind of information, we use statistics for explanation. Well, what type of statistics, what's simply descriptive or analytical kind of thing, it depends how do we do it. But certainly, we try to take help from statistics as a means for the interpretation of the data, as a means for explanation, or as a means for trying to find differences in different groups on the basis of statistics, like a certain percentage in one group and certain percentage in another group. We could make a comparison of one situation with another situation. Again, we try to make use of some kind of quantitative statistical kind of approach. Then with that statistical kind of approach, I think one very important characteristic of scientific method is rationalism. Now, rationalism is more like the application of arguments, application of logic. The data might be there, the information is there, but the information has to be provided a language, and that language has to be based on some thinking, some logical kind of thinking, some logical kind of arguments. Simply saying 60% failed, now what does it mean? So what is the logic behind it that we say, hey, this is a mass failure of the students? Now, logic आप both दो किस्म का है, हम आगे जाकर कहीं देखेंगे, इस inductive logic and deductive logic. और inductive में है कि you have the evidence from, let's say, few cases, and from those few cases you try to make a generalization to the total population. In other words, maybe you have a sample, and from the sample you're trying to make a generalization to the whole of the population. So that might be from smaller to, from particular to a general kind of situation. Then you have the other way around as well. You have a general kind of situation, and from general you come down to the specific, and from general to you try to apply to the specifics. So without logic, I think it's not possible to do research. We build up our hypothesis based on logic. We test our hypothesis again based on logic. So rationalism is a part of all this. Now we see that all these characteristics are interrelated with each other. If we are talking about empiricism, definitely it's related with verification. We talk about logic, rationalism is a part of the whole process. And we see that all scientists may not adhere to all these characteristics. But these might be the ideal kind of things. Okay, to what extent do we reach the ideal, that's a different story. Ideally, maybe we have to be objective. To what extent are we objective? Now that depends upon the methodology of an individual. Or objectivity may have, I think, other factors which might influence the objectivity of an individual. A person might be objective, but other contaminations came from other places as well. Therefore, the characteristics are there, but certainly people try to follow them. To what extent do they do? It depends how do they do it. Now, I would say then, from that background, that if we are talking about the scientific knowledge, there are two power bases of knowledge. One is the empiricism, and the second is the rationalism. Empiricism, as I said, we are talking about sensory experiences. And sensory experiences might lead to something which is definite, with anybody could do it. And that leads to positivistic kind of approach. And the second is the rationalism. And rationalism, as I said earlier, without logic, perhaps it is not possible to start a topic and even come up with any kind of conclusions. So rationalism as well as empiricism, and probably I'll add third to it, statistics. So we might summarize the whole thing in logical positivism, means theory, observation, and statistics. I think this covers in a way the what is a scientific method, and any subject who's using this scientific method, I would say, is generating scientific knowledge. If the social sciences or behavioral sciences are using this approach, they are producing scientific knowledge. Now, this is another story, to what extent their findings are really dependable or not. That has a different question. We have to look into that in maybe in different kind of setting. So, आज की कहानी में, आज के लेक्चर में हमने साइंस की बात की, साइंटिफिक मेथड की बात की, साइंटिफिक मेथड की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स की बात की. तो आज की बात हम यहाँ ख़त्म करते हैं. नेक्स्ट टाइम हम नए टॉपिक पे बात करेंगे. थैंक यू.